I think there's about 300 Jews in Cali, Colombia, maybe 296 because I left now with my family, with three of my children. And at one point, there were over 1,000 families. And I would say the heyday was in the 80s, the 70s and the 80s. And then with the drug wars that were going on, everybody left. They left. There were no job opportunities or no work. They went to Bogota. They went Medellin. They didn't really go to. They went to Bogota, Miami, Panama, Israel, and there's just a handful that are left in Cali right now. They probably most of them have their own businesses. And some just don't have the resources to leave or are very comfortable. It's a very comfortable life in Cali. At one point, Cali had a Jewish school. There was a Jewish club. There were three synagogues. There was the German synagogue, which was founded by German immigrants because when they arrived in the early 30s, and then after the war as well, they said, we're not Ashkenazi, we're not Sephardic, we're German. So they created their own community, and they were very much very active in cultural events, and they had a different perspective. Then there was the Sephardic community and the Ashkenazi community. Now what has happened, because everybody has left, they share one rabbi, the two communities. The German community at this point is a conservative community or reformed, and it's mostly made up of converts. My ex-father-in-law, who was at one point the president of the community, said that he went there once for services and didn't recognize anybody and felt very uncomfortable. Then you have the Ashkenazi and the Sephardic community. Even though the members are probably, the majority of them are just secular Jews, they will pray very Orthodox. So the men and the women will be separate, and they share one rabbi. So the service one week will be at one synagogue, another week will be at another synagogue. They are able to gather up a minyan, I believe, every day, barely, and they will also rotate between the synagogues.
Just to give you some context about what Heidi's saying about the Jewish community, as you can imagine, the stereotypes in Colombia and Cali of Jews are that they are upper class. Essentially, there's not a lot of knowledge of the Jewish religion in Colombia, so it's just that pretty much, oh, Jewish equals rich. And in Cali, I would say that the stereotype holds true. The community, those 300 Jews that Heidi's talking about, are very influential and upper class within the Caleño context. And so the fact that you would run into pretty much every Jew in the city in your comings and goings is just a reflection of the way the society here is very stratified, and the upper class tends to be concentrated around the neighborhood that Heidi and I lived in. Well, I live a few blocks from where Heidi lived in Cali, and so the surprise that we would all kind of meet isn't that shocking once you get into how small the social circles in Cali are. To give just a little more context, so Cali continues to be one of the global hotspots of the drug war. It is the first urban hub on the main routes, the main cocaine routes to port and then shipped to the rest of the world. So the dynamics of prohibition are really similar to maybe 30s era, Prohibition era America, with mobs and lots of petty crime, lots of inflated homicide rates, that kind of thing. So it is a really tense environment, but a lot of people working on the legalization movement here to remove those layers of violence that really keep people here from enjoying what is otherwise a tropical paradise of abundance. So it's a very complex place, and I think what's interesting about the project that Heidi and I are working on is it's such an unexpected thing to find in such a remote tropical place, these Jewish expressions.